Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room for the first podcast of the new refurb. Thank you all very much for getting involved. Please make sure to click like and subscribe. I mean, what isn't there to talk about? There's so much stuff going on. There's transfers, player departures, managerial news. John Heitinger's left. Trent's gone. Hazard. Jeremie Frimpong has joined, and Florian Wirtz is looking to be on the verge of joining Liverpool. And to discuss it all today, I've got Yash Talks Footy and Dan, and we're going to be going through all of it today and just having a bit of a chat. Nothing too extreme, nothing too major, nice and chill as we've entered the lull period of the season. So, I mean, I'll start off our guest. I mean, Yash, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. There's a lot of stuff happened with the club regarding transfers recently. It's kind of blown up very early, so we've got quite a lot to cover. Some interesting profiles that we're looking at as well.
On Dan, I can see you. I can see you smiling away. You give your 2 pence.
No, absolutely. I do agree. I did want to say, everybody, make sure you're following Yash on social media. I've been watching his stuff. He's really good with the videos that he does, reactions, anything like that. I'm pretty sure he has his sandal up there. Here we go, up there. Nonetheless, it's going to be a fun show. Fun show. I'm working out the whole camera setup, the whole mic setup. This is our first episode, so it's going to be a little rusty. Don't worry. We also have different hosts coming in. We're going to have Lou. We're gonna have Charlie. We're gonna have a Stu. We're gonna have sometimes even Richie. I'm gonna be in and out just to fill in a few spots here and there. But other than that, I'm very happy to have you guys, Josh, Lou. As always, you're wonderful. Everybody's gonna enjoy the show. I'm pretty sure. Lou, let's. I mean, there's so much to talk about, man. We have whether that's incomings, departures, their whole like the Pep situation, who's joining the other Pep. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. Where do you want to start, Lou? What's going on?
I mean, I suppose Frimpong is probably the best one to start with. Now that he's of the players that were linked with, I think Jeremie Frimpong is the one that's it's a definitive done. He's joined. He's done the whole spiel. So I'd say Frimpong, to be honest, makes the most sense of anything that we're going to really discuss today.
Is it safe to say that Liverpool just replaced the best right back in the world with the next best right back in the world, 35 million pounds? Obviously, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but we know that when it comes to at least offensively, I don't think there's a better right back right now in the market other than Trent and Frimpong offensively. A lot of our fans are going to bash us and tell us that, oh, but a right back has to defend. Yes, but I think that Arne Slot has proven that in his system, with a type of more offensive defensive fullback, they are not required as much to defend. I mean, I know I'm probably wording this a little poorly. What I'm trying to say is the fact that Jeremy Frimpong is not the best defender in the world will not affect us as much as it would do in different systems. Josh, what is your thoughts? I mean, I'm pretty excited, mainly because of the price tag. I know he's a top player right now, 35 million pounds. I mean, that's just a steal. What do you think?
Yeah, I think signing him is there's a lot more pros than cons in my opinion. Losing Trent, obviously, the situation wasn't great at all, and bringing in someone who offensively can not provide similar things to Trent, because Trent is more of a passer in how he creates, but Frimpong likes to dribble a lot, and he's got very good ball control basically and carrying, and he uses his like low center of gravity to get past players quite easily. And I think recently we've seen in the past 5-6 games since we've kind of won the league that Slot's slowly been trying to implement his newer system for next season, and you're seeing Conor Bradley especially a lot higher up the pitch, especially when we start from the goalkeeper. And you're seeing him doing underlaps, overlaps, which is for me what's best for Salah, because it brings him closer to the goal and he doesn't have to worry as much about being on the touchline. And I think Frimpong is perfect at doing that. And so I think Salah's going to benefit a lot, and he's going to have a good relationship to build with Frimpong. The defensive questions are obviously there. He's not going to be someone that is so astute at right back defensively. But there's one thing he does more than the right back we had previously, which is he fights to the end and he doesn't stop tracking back. He has so much energy. That's the main thing. And then the main concern, obviously, with the defending, the other side of it is that people don't really consider is the fact that we still have Conor Bradley, who has proven to be good defensively in a lot of big games against tough wingers. So there's always different game states, and the competition will definitely help each other push themselves to better their weaknesses. And I think Conor Bradley will play against some tougher wingers, and I'm sure Frimpong will play against certain teams that we need to break down, and he can provide be an extra weapon. Also, being able to play a right wing, he could be a backup to Salah sometimes if, for example, he goes to AFCON. And for 30 million, can you really deny the gamble that we've taken? I just don't think it's a no-brainer.
And just like you were mentioned, we're probably going to see him switch between different places, obviously different matches, different games. But which I want to ask you, Lou, really quick. Please do not give me the standard answer of we're just going to be rotating players. Who do you think is going to start? Who do you think is going to be the regular started? Conor Bradley, Jeremie Frimpong. Please don't say we're just going to be rotating them throughout the games. I beg you.
Well, that's the answer. I don't know. You can't lie. No, I mean, look, if I was putting my money on who I think is more likely to start more matches, I would probably say Conor Bradley. I think the slot's had a bit of. He's already garnered a big bit of information regarding Conor Bradley this season, rotating him around Trent, seeing how we're going to play when he's on the team. And he said himself earlier this season, if I could give him 90 minutes every match, I absolutely would. We've seen in games like against Chelsea where we were really struggling, he came on and he brought that extra bit of energy going forward. He was tenacious, he was underlapping, overlapping, coming inverted to create chances. Brighton, he picked up that amazing assist for Harvey Elliott with the dummy. I think he's warranted to be the starter. He was there under Klopp last season. This season, he's been of a consistent level, rotating around Trent to the point where we've not really missed Trent when he has been out the team. Frimpong is going to come in, and I think when Frimpong comes in, it is when we're going to be a bit more attack-minded. I can see us dropping to a sort of 3 at the back formation where Gravenberch's going to come deep like when we played Fulham and we went down to 10 men. There's a lot of different ways about it, but I think if I had to gun to my head, choose one who you think's going to start, it might be more hope, but I want Conor Bradley, and I think Conor Bradley will be given the nod, only as well by the fact that defensively, like I said there, like Frimpong is going to get called into question. Conor Bradley's proven himself to be a capable defender at points this season, and even before then at Bolton, he was their player of the season. He came back to us. He reached a good level last year. This season, he's been superb when he's been in the team, bar maybe 1 or 2 matches. But the tackle against Mbappe, his performances in the Champions League, his performances in the league, I think it warrants him being the starting right back for Liverpool, at least for the start of the season anyway.
Do you agree on that, Yash? I mean, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a pretty debatable topic if you had to choose someone, because, for example, I do agree with everything that Lou is saying, but if you make me choose someone to start, I would choose Frimpong over Bradley all the time, mainly because of the age difference. I feel like Frimpong has a little bit more experience on the top level. Conor Bradley, I mean, we've seen him on the pitch. He looks like he's 25, 26 years old, but do not forget, I think he barely turned 21. I forgot when, but he's still a youngster. Well, he's not a youngster anymore. He just turned into an adult. So I don't think that it would hurt him to be just one more season as that backup option. But like I said, it's a pretty debatable topic. That's why I want to see, Yash, maybe what do you have in mind? Who would you like first to start, and then who do you think is going to be starting more than the other?
So I probably think that Frimpong is going to start more games, because I think more games than not, we dominate the ball. And I think when we have the ball more, Frimpong is probably better. I think because we're going to attack a lot more. Most of the Premier League teams, we will have more possession than them. So I think giving him, when we have the ball more, we don't need to worry as much about how we are defensively. And I think he's very, very quick. So he's got the pace to kind of track back if we need numbers and it's a counter attack for the other team. But on the ball, I think he is better than Conor Bradley. So I think I would like him to start in most games over Bradley, just because of that different dynamic he brings. and I also think that will happen as well. But then in the Champions League, I see in the bigger games when you come up against, for example, like AC Milan. Let's say they've got Leao on their wing, or this season when we come up against Madrid and you've got Vinicius Junior. Those sorts of games, I think Slot will be a bit more wary, and we've seen this season that he's gone a bit more defensive. I think those sorts of big games, I can see Conor Bradley coming in more. But then the Premier League, I think Frimpong will play a lot more.
Nice. Now I do want to ask Lou a question, and obviously Josh as well. Before we move on, I mean, it's been already. Let's hope to try to tackle each topic in the 10-minute mark. But Lou, with the current options available in the market right now at right back, did Liverpool got the best player available in the market? I mean, regardless if you're Liverpool or if you're Chelsea, Man City, whatever it is there anybody else that's available right now in the market that's better than Frimpong? I mean, if we mention Hakimi or maybe even Dumfries, I mean, they're going to be pretty high value transfers. So, did Liverpool got the best player right now at right back in the market?
I mean, yeah, we've definitely picked up one of the most valuable commodities, I think, in the right back market. Obviously, Jeremie Frimpong was always a player who was getting linked to us, and for good reason. There are other options. Arnau Martinez would have been a good option from Girona. He's a very good defensive option. You've got Alejandro Frances. He's a Lushrel Gertruida. He was another player. Like, there is viable options at right back for a lot of different teams. This wasn't a sort of it was Frimpong or bust. Liverpool have done their research. I think Gertruida would have been a really shrewd option to pick up. Very composed on the ball. Can play as a centre back if you absolutely need him to. But at the moment, there's no one in this league that you look at. And you could say this about maybe left back and right back, that Liverpool have the best depth of any position at full back of anyone in the Premier League. Arsenal, they've got good options, but Ben White's cripplingly injured. Tomiyasu's hardly around. Left back, you've got Miles Lewis-Skelly. Zinchenko doesn't really feature. Calafiori's injured a lot. Like, City don't have that depth anymore. We're very fortunate in the sense of we've got plenty of rotation to bring in and utilize. And Frimpong is someone who, like I said, he's better on the ball than Conor Bradley, and he is going to have that extra dimension to our attack. It's horses for courses. If we need a defensive minded player, we'll bring Bradley in. If we want someone who's going to dominate the ball and create things going forward, that's Frimpong. And right now it's a statement signing that we've picked up one of the most sought after fullbacks in European football, and it's essentially the bat signal to everyone next season that we're going nowhere. So it's a shrewd signing, and we've paid him on installments. And Trent, we've just sold him for 10 million. We've basically paid him on Klarna, and we've just paid for the first year free. So I've got no issue with the Frimpong signing whatsoever.
I would love to keep talking about Frimpong. I mean, I want to throw more questions and stuff, but I mean, we're already 13 minutes in talking about Jeremie Frimpong. Lou, take us away with some. Shall we talk about the whole Pep situation, or should we just the fact that we gave away to Ajax also? Is it John Heitinga? I don't know how to see his last name.
I'm Heitinger, yeah.
Should we just jump in a little bit about that? What's your thoughts? I've been reading the timeline a little bit, and lots of people are saying that Pep he's betraying Liverpool in some sort of way. Uh, in a sense, if you go back to his quotes where he said, "I will only be assistant manager for Jurgen Klopp and Jurgen Klopp only," and then you go directly to his direct competitor. And I mean, I don't know. I just want to hear you guys output first, and then I'll go, and then even if we have time. But Lou, what do you think about that? Then maybe Josh.
First off, John Heisinger, best of luck to him. He's been incredible this season. Even when Slot was banned in the games he came in, he's shown that he's a real astute leader. And to go to Ajax is a huge, huge honour. So congratulations to him first and foremost. But with Pep Lijnders, I think I'm in the minority where I don't really care too much. I think fair enough his comments, but we've got to understand that when we made those comments, he was going to RB Salzburg, and the idea was he was going to become this long-term manager, fruitful career ahead of him. It didn't work out. He's then taken time off to assess his options. Maybe he's been offered other clubs. Maybe he's been offered other coaching roles. despite what we may think about Man City, Pep Guardiola is still one of the greatest managers in the history of football. And you've seen the track record of managers who have worked underneath him and seen what they've gone on to do. Arteta, Enzo Maresca just being two of the current examples in the Premier League. And they're managing top 6 Premier League teams. If you're Pep Lijnders and you're looking at this and thinking, right, I could go be a manager elsewhere, or I could learn from Pep Guardiola in a Premier League competing Man City, it makes sense. I'm not happy with it. I'd rather I'm not, because it just to sort of blow the comments out the water. But I can understand the logic for him. And I feel like if we were in a position right now where we weren't winning the league and we were struggling and things weren't going well, I'd be more annoyed. But the fact is, we're in a good position. We're in a good space, which is exactly where Pep Lijnders and Klopp wanted to leave us. And if he wants to do it, best of luck to him. Hopefully we can just blow City out the water again, but it doesn't bother me too much. Just best of luck to him, really.
Do you think he's going to get a warm reception at Anfield after what happened with Trent?
I don't know. I wouldn't say the fans really would care that much. I guess maybe, but he's not going to really get much spotlight to get booed, to be honest. To be honest, I was not really a big fan of Pep Lijnders, which is a bit of a controversial thing at the time. I think there were some decisions that Klopp definitely, you could tell, were influenced by Pep Lijnders, and I actually read his book, and you could tell there were some certain things that some sort of philosophies and some transfers that I don't necessarily agree, which they might have been okay now, but for what they were trying to implement, for Gakpo was a really big one. I think Pep Lijnders really pushed Klopp to sign Gakpo as like a false nine to like replace Firmino. That just didn't work out at all. I'm not saying Gakpo was a bad player or anything or was a bad signing, but at the time, there's certain decisions where I didn't think he was like helping us in any way. And so him going to Salzburg, obviously not doing well there at all, that was, I wouldn't really say surprising, but I think after that, you kind of realised that Klopp did a lot of the good work from how I've kind of taken that. And so him going to City, as long as he doesn't share anything to do with our club and some little secrets that we've got, I don't really mind. I don't think we're going to be affected by it or even notice that he's there. I think Pep is got a very tunnel vision for what he wants, and I think they're just going to learn off him rather than actually help him that much.
And the fact that you mentioned his book, I mean, I think I read a few bits here and there as well. I have it here at home, and the fact that you touch also on transfers. There we go. Lou has it up there. Free promotion here for for Pep. The fact that you touch on transfers. If you read over his book, he goes into detail into what type of players he was actually trying to bring. I mean, I believe he even mentioned that he was trying to get Manuel Neuer as a goalkeeper, as well as Allison, a few other players. Right now, on the top of my head, I cannot remember, but he goes into detail into which players he wanted, and lots of them turned out to be, obviously, I'm not going to say something bad, but they didn't turn out to be the best option for the club. And we get a glimpse into seeing what type of manager he was. And obviously, fair play, like you guys say, maybe he went to Salzburg, he realized, oh, you know what, there's still a lot more to learn. Maybe I just go to who's currently probably the best manager in the world on Pep Guardiola, or who was, and hopefully he's the full package now. I don't know. Obviously, I'm in the in between line. The one thing I do want to say, Yash, you did mention that it's a controversial opinion, which I would agree in the beginning. But then yesterday, I was going over some comments on some of Pep Lijnders' old quotes on Twitter, and lots of Liverpool fans didn't really like him or his presence at the club. They didn't mind him leaving. So, I mean, I don't think it's as controversial. I did like him a lot. I'm one of the people that really thought he could have been the replacement of Jurgen Klopp. But obviously now that's why there's higher ups that know way better than us, and they've proven why having him as a successor wasn't the right call. But yeah, like you said, maybe like I'm in the same boat as Lou. I don't care as much. Maybe he's doing what's right for him. I don't really like the fact that he goes to our direct competitor. Hopefully he doesn't share too much intel from our players, like, oh, you got to take care of him, that, go attack that weakness here and there. I think is going to be inevitable. he's going to share some things regarding the squad, and maybe that's when we see how good Arne Slot really is, even having Pep Lijnders on the other side. But yeah, Lou, any final thoughts on that before we jump into some potential transfers incoming, some goodies right here and there?
No, I think, to be honest, we need to discuss the German elephant in the room. That is Florian Wirtz, if I'm being honest, because I think if I don't talk about Wirtz any longer, I may explode. It's just, it needs to be discussed, in all honesty. So I mean, if that's all right with you, I'm happy.
I want to ask you first of all, and just like you mentioned, the elephant in the room. If I'm if I'm a Chelsea fan, an Arsenal fan, a Real Madrid fan, we need to discuss the price tag. I mean, this is something that is not being discussed as much. The current transfer record fee is Moises Caicedo with 108 million pounds, something like that. We are going to be blowing out of the water. It's either him or Enzo Fernandez. I think it is one of the two. But the thing is below 110 million pounds. The fact that we're going to be making this huge jump to almost 130 million pounds, almost 126, whatever it is, for a top player, world class player, nonetheless. But is he a player that we need? I mean, in my opinion, we currently have two tens on Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai. Is there other priorities? In my belief, yes, maybe a striker, maybe a top left back, which we are addressing. Yes, maybe the replacement or successor for Virgil van Dijk at some point, or maybe the replacement or successor of Mohamed Salah at some point. I am over the moon with this signing, but at the same time, was he really somebody that we necessarily had to bring to the club? Like, weren't there other priorities? Like, what are your thoughts? Obviously, I don't want to get bashed online, but I'm just throwing out this question to you guys. Weren't there other priorities that we could have probably targeted?
I mean, maybe. Look, we know we need a striker. We've got a donkey on a skateboard up front, and we've got Jota. We definitely need someone up in that position, but we need to keep in mind that we're losing the creativity of one of the most genius players in the history of the Premier League in Trent, and we're never going to be able to direct replace that. Jeremie Frimpong is a very different player. He's a very direct force with the ball, but we're signing one of Europe's most sought after players in Florian Wirtz. 16 goals and 11 assists last season. Statistically, he's better in almost every area than Roberto Firmino was in 2019-20 in that false nine position. And they played similar positions on the pitch. Different, but but he's also the quickest player to reach 5 goals in Bundesliga history, 10 goals in Bundesliga history, the youngest player to reach 50 appearances, the youngest goal scorer in Bayer Leverkusen's history. He's on 29 caps with Germany at the age of 22. This is someone who has done the invincible season with Bayer Leverkusen and was a figurehead of it. Bundesliga player of the season, 2 seasons in a row. If you want to win the Premier League again, if you've just won the Premier League, you have to assert yourself and you have to go out and sign the best of the best. And last time we won the league, we signed an agent, Thiago Alcantara, who clearly didn't fit the system, a backup left back in Kostas Tsimikas, and Diogo Jota. Fair enough. I love Diogo Jota, but his legs have gone. You need to sign the big names. You need to go out and assert yourself on the scene. And this signing is saying to everyone in England and everyone in Europe that next season we are going nowhere. He's one of the most creatively beautiful players in Europe. He's capable of scoring a goal. He ranks top 2% in Bundesliga for progressive passes and carries, short passes and medium passes completed. He is a creative maestro who can dictate the tempo of a match while also influencing its end result by getting goals himself. Liverpool need to make these signings. It's big money, but nowadays 100 million is being spent on players like Felipe Coutinho, Antoine Griezmann, Moises Caicedo, Declan Rice, Enzo Fernandez, Ousmane Dembele, Neymar, Mbappe. Big names. And if you want to sign the best of the best, you have to fork out the cash. And for the first time, not ever, but in a long time, Liverpool are spending big money on necessary players. And I think Florian Wirtz is top European quality for this team.
Do you agree, Josh? Thoughts on the price tag as well? And one thing I wanted to ask Lou, but obviously you can go first, Josh. where do you see him playing? Where do you see him fitting? Because obviously there's been reports that Arne Slot told him you're going to be basically the owner of the number 10 position. Or do you actually see him play there, considering that Szoboszlai is going to be, well, he was playing there for most of the time. Or do you see him on the wing? Do you see him as a false nine, like Lou said? Where do you see him fitting, and what are your overall thoughts on this transfer?
So I could talk about Wirtz all day, to be honest. That this guy's like the past few days, I've been trying to make a video myself. So I've been watching hours and hours of games of Wirtz, and he's definitely, like, no questions asked, the best player we've ever signed, like prior to us actually paying the fee. But we usually sign players on the cusp of being world class. They've shown a lot of potential. This is a player who, before we've signed them, is already one of the best players in the world and has proven it on every single stage. Week in, week out, his passing is some of the best in the world. He's both-footed. His dribbling is insane. There's so many things you can speak about in terms of his attributes, why he's one of the best youngsters in the world, especially at 22. But in terms of the price tag, I think you have to pay that kind of money for a talent that good nowadays. It's just how it works. There's players that Caicedo is 115. That's different position and not, in my eyes, a defensive midfielder. Game-winning players, the number 10s, the wingers, the forwards, they're the players that are going to be worth the most in the market. And so I would 100% justify this fee. And you mentioned that McAllister and Szoboszlai are kind of the 10s. But as Lou mentioned, we've lost so much creativity by losing Trent. And now we can kind of essentially revert to a more traditional style where your number 10, your midfielders is where most of your creating comes from, rather than before where we used to have the midfielders doing a lot of out of possession work. So the fullbacks under Klopp, or just mainly Trent doing a lot of the creative passing. So I think Slot wants to revert to kind of his older systems at Feyenoord, where his 10 was the main creator, and I think there isn't a better player in the world that can do that really right now than Wirtz that's available on the market. Physically, I think his profile is very good. I think the only tiny concern you could have is that he could get like shoved off the ball, but I don't even think that that's an issue because he's so smart. He's one of the smartest players I've ever seen play football, like in the world right now. Even for his age, it's incredible to watch. I'm actually jaw dropped at loads of matches I've seen him play. So I'm so excited about signing him. And in terms of where I think he can play, I think the number 10 is definitely what it's going to be. I don't really see it being a false 9. I think Slot has always played with a direct number 9 who can link up as well, but he wants goals coming through the middle and from Salah as well, I think. So I think he's hopefully going to potentially play him left wing, but not left wing. Like he'll start on the left. I was thinking that he can kind of come inside as like a left-sided 10 with a potential signing in Kirk as someone who can fly down that left wing, cover the wide areas while he kind of comes inside. I think that's a really good scenario for him. Or just as a traditional number 10 with a pivot behind. And I know there's going to be a couple of players that have started a lot this season that might be dropped. Harvey Elliott is definitely on the way out by the looks of things. So he will definitely fill that role in. A false 9 could be there as like a third position if we, for example, have injuries or a situation like that. But I think he needs runners in front of him. So I think most of the goals will come from a striker and Salah. And seeing these reports coming out with Diaz, this could mean that Wirtz might play as a Diaz replacement, even though it's a completely different like left wing profile. Or if we sign a more creative left winger, that winger and Wirtz will be the primary creators in the team, and then Salah and the striker will be more of the goal scorers. So I think that's the best way to put it. But I do not, I've not like questioned this signing once because it's genuinely one of the best players in the world. So it's such a statement signing after winning the league, signing someone this much money that is this good and recognized as this good. I have no doubt that the club are doing the right thing with this.
Absolutely. I do agree with everything that Yash and even Lou have said so far. Position wise, I'm not 100% convinced he's going to be always the number 10, mainly because what you said with Luis Diaz potentially leaving. I don't see Liverpool bringing in a winger this summer transfer window. So I'm still intrigued. What happens if we said Luis Diaz? I do think that we might even see him there, or maybe somebody else. More of Gakpo, more of Jota. Who knows? We're running out of time, guys. We have just 5 minutes left, or a little bit less than 10 minutes. But Lou, let's talk incomings now. Let's talk Kerkez. Let's talk potential strikers. The striker market is. I'm not going to say horrendous because there are actually a few options out there, but it's going to be so difficult to dive into. I mean, Chelsea, they just agreed they agreed reportedly signing the Liam Delap, I think it is. Who else we have? Supposedly Isaac is staying. Gyökeres, I haven't heard much from where he's going to be going to. What else we got? Victor Osimhen supposedly is going to either stay in Turkey or go to Saudi Arabia. There's a few others. Oh, we have Arsenal going for Sesko. So Lou,
TK as well.
what's going to happen, Lou? Who should we go for? And here's my question to you, Lou. Mainly, I want to ask you a question. If all these big teams go for the big profile players, like Chelsea going for the Frankfurt striker Ekitike, I think is how you say his name, and Manchester United going for Gyökeres, let's say there's no top striker available in the market. If Liverpool don't sign someone, are you okay with not bringing a striker this summer?
I mean, I think we need to. Either way, whether we do or don't, Nunez needs to be gone. Like, this isn't. I'm not turning this into a bash Nunez thing. I just think the time's done. Get as much money from him as you can. If Saudi want him, there's big money to be garnered there. We do need to sign someone. If for some reason it's not this summer, if we spend all our pocket money on Wirtz and the two fullbacks and what have you, I will be disappointed. But at the same time, we're not losing too much because if you look at Nunez last season, he contributed 6 goals and 5 assists. 2 of those goals came against Brentford. Fair enough, big moment, not denying that. But it's not like we're losing someone up front who's got that very clinical edge. But we do need to sign someone. We can't. The Luis Diaz experiment as a number 9, it worked well against Leverkusen and Tottenham and West Ham. It's not worked since. It's not the route we can continually go down. Jota's too injury prone to be relied upon for a consistent first team run. We do need to sign someone, be it Benjamin Sesko is obviously going to Arsenal. He wasn't my preferred choice anyway. Isak was the dream signing, but obviously they got Champions League football, so now that just seems off the table. Ekitike is the one that seems to be getting touted around a lot. I know Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein were talking about it. I would be happy with an Ekitike, but he is someone who feels like a project. He is someone who you look at and think it's going to take maybe a year or two to get him up to that level.
For 100 million, Lou? For 100 million?
Yeah, look, do you want to sign the big players? You've got to spend big money. If Florian Wirtz is around 100 million, if you to sign anyone who's a striker in European football who is of a good enough level to play for Liverpool, you have to spend big money. We're talking about when we signed Fernando Torres, which was a then record. We signed Luis Suarez for a decent amount of money. Nunez was a lot of money. It didn't work, but you have to spend big on strikers to find the successful ones. It's very rare that you find someone who up front is able to carry the team that you can sign for a marginal fee. If Ekitike is the one for 100 million, I won't be over the moon, but he's a good, capable player. It's just there's so many striker options. It's like we've gone from no striker options in Europe in the space of 1 year, suddenly there's Sesko, Ekitike, Gyökeres, Isak, Delap. Like there's just an influx of strikers. But I do think we need to get someone this summer because through the middle is not how it should be. And we can't keep relying on Salah at the age he is to be given 30, 40 goals a season.
Josh, do you have any preferred options other than the obvious ones, or is there somebody in there that you would like Liverpool to bring in?
I think the striker market right now is very poor in the sense that if you want to bring someone in that is going to immediately be world class, besides Isak and that situation isn't looking very good. So I like Ekitike a lot. I know a lot of the Liverpool fans do not. I think it was because of that XG stat that came out that he underperformed quite a bit. But then, like, if you look into context of that, there's a lot more into it. He's given a responsibility to carry that Frankfurt attack. He shoots a lot himself, just from random angles, because he doesn't really have much support around him, and that kind of builds that XG up, even though it's small amounts. So that's causing that stat to be inflated quite a bit. I think there's so many good traits about him. On the ball, regardless of the goals as well. He provides so much more outside of goals than our current number 9 does. So that in itself is a benefit. And I think he's very, very good. And I would 100% pay. I'm not sure about 100 million, but probably the 60 to 80 mark, which probably could be negotiated for him. I think Wirtz needs someone who's going to run ahead of him. So he needs someone that's quick and direct. And so obviously Salah's going to bring that. And I think we need a striker that fits that kind of mold. Nunes, annoyingly, is the perfect striker to play in front of Wirtz, but Nunes is Nunes. So unfortunately, he is not the person that we should go into the season, because I just think mentally he has kind of checked out with Liverpool now, I think, at this point. And then in regards to other signings, I'll quickly just cover some areas where I would, before this window, if you don't include us selling anyone like besides the obvious like Nunes and some of the backup rotation players, I think we needed a centre half, which we still haven't got any links for. I'm a bit worried going into next season, especially if we sell Kwanzaa. I think that needs to be addressed. The fullbacks obviously are being addressed, and I do think we need a volume passer in midfield. Adam Wharton is my number 1, but he's a lot of people's number 1 because he's incredible. He would be someone, I think, that provides, in the pool of midfielders we have, that's the only kind of trait that we're missing, I think. And bringing him in will kind of complete that, so we can rotate with all the midfielders we've got, depending on who we're playing against, and then a striker. So it would only be 3 other positions I think we would go for, other than the 3 we've got now, which I know sounds like I'm spoiled, but if we want to be serious and retain a Premier League whilst other teams are strengthening, we need to address these areas. And this is not including if we potentially sell Diaz, who again will need replacing. So it's going to, well, in my opinion, we need to do a lot of business this summer. So the striker market, again, as I said, Ekitike would probably be the one I want. I haven't really looked into like strikers in that aren't rumored to us right now. But I do think we will bring a striker in, because the issues with Nunes and the Jota, I'm just not a fan of at all at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is true, and I like your guys' points. I'm not fully convinced on Ekitike. Whether it's stats, whether it's the visual test that we always go first to, I'm not fully convinced. I feel like we all want him just because we want a striker, and he's obviously above average. But I'm going to throw in the advice that my mom always says to me. Obviously, we're not controlling the club, so obviously Liverpool know better. But if you have the slightest of doubt, my mom used to say, don't do it. So what I would say, my unpopular opinion would be, if we don't have the perfect striker that we can bring to the club, just go ahead and wait for another year. I wouldn't mind Liverpool just signing Wirtz, Kerkez, Frimpong, maybe somebody, a center back, and no striker. If that meant bringing, for example, Alexander Isak next window, the transfer window from Liverpool without a striker, if we do sign all these players, is still going to be considered a successful transfer window. So if we don't find anybody else, just wait one more year and bring Alexander Isak and spend that Ekitike money on him, or even if it costs you 10 to 20 million pounds more, but go for somebody that we're fully convinced. Because for me, I don't think there's many people that will turn down or at least have negative things to say about Alexander Isak. Am I right? But when it comes to Ekitike, I feel like there's like a 50-50 debate between fans. Lou, do you agree? Do you disagree? And after that, let's just close the show because damn, 40 minutes so far. Well, I love the conversation as of now.
As in, do I have doubts over whether we should sign someone if we're not overly convinced, so to speak?
Yes. So, do you agree on my take? Would you rather wait another year, even if it meant like a gamble, bringing Isaac, yes or no, or would you bring just any striker that is above average, of course?
It depends because let's say we wait that year. Let's say we take that year off and we go, okay, maybe next summer we get Isak, or maybe next year we can sign such and such a player. Who's to say by that point that we haven't lost a Gakpo? Who's to say by that point that we haven't lost a Diaz? Or, a Salah could leave. Something awful could happen and we could lose a key player. We're then having to address that problem. It's all nice us saying, oh, let's just wait the year, see what happens. We did that last summer, and we're in this fortunate position where, bar Trent, no major key players have left. But we can't guarantee that's going to happen every summer. I think you need to go out and sign someone. Not only that as well, but the fact that these players are wanted by a large proportion of clubs across Europe. Who's to say that they're not going to get snapped up? If we don't go in for Ekatike, someone else might. If we don't go in for, and these are not the players that I want, this is just as an example. Say if we don't go in for Osimhen, someone else gets him. We say if we wanted Gyökeres, someone else gets him. In a year's time, the market is suddenly scarce and you can't bring anyone in. So you've got to strike while the iron's hot. If we want to be asserting ourselves on England again next summer, you've got to go now and you've got to strengthen while you're ahead. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson did for years expertly well. And he did take the odd year or two off. Rooney said so, hence the reason why he debated leaving at one point. You've got to strengthen. You've got to keep bringing in the best. I think it's this summer or bust.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We'll see. I mean, there's definitely one to see. Liverpool is definitely working on that end. We'll see even Julian Alvarez gets bring back into conversations. Obviously, it's pretty impossible. I don't think there's anywhere we can even gamble for him because he just moved to Atletico Madrid a year ago. He's doing amazing, of course, but they paid some pretty big money on him, so we will have to even pay even more than that. But who knows? Maybe next season could be the answer. Maybe this season is the solution. We'll see what happens. From my end, I want to say goodbye to you guys. I really enjoyed this conversation. There's so many more topics to come. The podcast is still getting worked on. Like I told the guys earlier, we are probably shooting to give you guys 3 episodes a month, and obviously it's going to be pretty fun discussions. Maybe some guests like Yash as well dropping in. But yeah, from my end, that's pretty much it. Make sure you're following Yash. All his videos are awesome. Make sure you're going for Lou, YouTube Beyond the Cup. I love his content as well. Thank you guys. Lou, maybe say your goodbyes and Yash as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good. Cheers, guys.